Today I'm sitting with one of the most youngest successful personal trainers in South Africa, Aurelio Mkhwanazi. Welcome. Do you train so that when people look at your body, they admire it? Do you train so that you're happy with your body? Is it a dual thing?
I was still in school when I started training, so it was for attention. I don't think I trained to help anybody at the time.
I mean, for you to be one of the youngest, highest paid personal trainers in South Africa, what do you charge an hour?
I mean, it's a lot.
I mean, for somebody watching, they might be asking themselves and saying, look, they haven't done a fitness journey. Where do they even start?
So I've always been in fitness, but it was training myself though. So I found discipline through training. I found building the body helped me build my mind.
What are some of the craziest stories that you've ever heard of these things happening?
Oh man, where do I start? She was like, okay, I actually did not want to train.
Welcome back to the For This Reason podcast. Today I'm sitting with one of the most youngest successful personal trainers in South Africa, Aurelio Mkhwanazi. Welcome.
I love the welcome, man. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, man.
Great stuff.
Humbled, man.
I mean, how young are you? How old are you?
I'm 22 years old, man.
Okay, cool. And you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, for you to be one of the youngest, highest paid personal trainers in South Africa, what do you charge an hour?
450, man. I charge 450 rand an hour.
Wow. To train someone?
Yeah, to train them.
Okay, and what do they get in this training? I mean, someone's paying 450 an hour.
I mean, it's a lot. Nutrition, training, motivation. I feel like there's a lot of people who won't come if they don't see their trainer. So that means they miss out on the whole gym aspect of things. So I feel like that 450 is very subjective because, in my opinion, I feel like people should pinch pennies elsewhere, not with their health. So the 450 is not even, for me at least, I don't think it's a reach.
But you're making bank. I mean, at the age of 22, if you're charging 450 an hour, I can imagine if you've got 6 clients a day, you're making bank at a young age.
Personal trainers do a lot more than 6 a day, bro. So typically you'd work in the morning from about 5 to, let's say, 11, 12. So you'd hit about 6, 7 clients in the morning, then do your own training. Then from 2-ish until about 7, you're going again, man. So it's about 10 to 12 clients.
You at 450 an hour.
Clients a day. Yeah.
and I mean, in your whole process, maybe let's start in the beginning. How did you get into personal training?
All right, so it's a long story, man. So I've always been in fitness, but it was training myself though. So I found discipline through training. I found building the body helped me build my mind. I didn't even think of helping anyone else yet, right? But then when I built the physique that I felt was desirable to the public eye, I started getting questions from everybody as to like, what did you do? How did you do it? And there was one specific client I had in matric, right? Mr. Nkwane, I hope you watch.
You had clients in matric?
From grade 11, actually.
Oh, wow. So from grade 11, you were training people?
Yes, but at home though.
Oh, okay. You'd do the home call.
Yeah, I was doing them at home.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Nkwane watches this because he spoke to me. For a while. I trained him for a year. And he was like, listen, like take this to the next level, because I was keen on an office job, eh? That's what I was gonna do. That's what society wanted me to do, parents, etc. But I was putting all my time into fitness. Like I couldn't wait till everything finished so I could train. And he kind of pushed me. He was like, okay, you need to get this done. So I got my qualification. Long story short, I became a trainer, man, and I was able to touch more lives through actually working through fitness. I didn't have the passion to go study anything else. So I just wanted to help people, help men, help women, like help them change their lives how fitness changed mine, even if it was just a little bit.
Wow.
So that's how I got into personal training, man.
That's inspiring. And I mean, talking about the fact that when you train, you disciplining yourself, you're learning stuff, you're managing your mind. I mean, that's profound, because a lot of people tend to think that, fitness is just about the body only, but it goes beyond that.
100%. I think it starts there. If your mind's not in the right place, I don't know if you've ever felt like you need to change your body, but there's a limiting factor. You keep saying tomorrow. And I heard someone say that if you keep filling up your days with enough tomorrows, like you're going to have empty yesterdays. And that hit me so hard. So training starts with the mind, because if your mind keeps holding you back, it's not going to happen. Even though your body wants to train, if your mind's not in the right place, it's not going to happen, right? So so even with my clients, when they start, the first thing we do, first consultation, first few sessions is we get the mind right, get the habits right, because without those two, the fitness is not going to hit the same, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, for somebody watching, they might be asking themselves and saying, look, they haven't done a fitness journey. Where do they even start? What's the secret, routines, etc.? What would you say? And I mean, I'm going to ask you this for 3 levels, right?
All right.
So for somebody who's beginning,
Yeah.
right, they haven't even hit the gym.
Got you.
Where do they start?
All right. So people think they need to go all out from the beginning. I'd say that person, first thing they need to do, just get into the habit, right? Even if it's getting, like, put your shoes on and walk. You don't even need to get a trainer first. Just get into the habit of training, because there's a lot of people that get into personal training as well, or get a trainer, but they don't have the habits, right? So they keep missing their sessions, etc. And they just not progressing. Get into the habit first, even if it's just walking 10, 15 minutes, it's okay, right? Eventually that's going to turn into 30, and then you'll get introduced to resistance training. So step by step. They think they need 2 hours in the gym. They don't. Not at the beginning. All right. Something easy. Even if it's walking, running. That's how I'd say a beginner should get into it, man. Start with the basics. Stick to the basics always.
I like that. And if somebody's already like intermediate, so they've been training, but they sometimes go, they sometimes don't go, they're seeing results, but not the full results, what should they be doing?
I'd say they should master nutrition, man. They should actually take the time out, either pay someone to do it for them, or take their own time out to master their nutrition, because without that, you're literally wasting your time. In my opinion, I think they're wasting their time, because if you don't master what you eat, if you can't control what you eat, you're going to be wasting your time in the gym, man. The gym can only do so much, right? It's because you still have that other 23 hours in the day that you need to make crucial decisions, because with your body counts everything. It counts every single calorie, counts every hour of sleep. So I'll get the intermediate person to focus on the smaller details.
Well,
all right.
I like that. And the person who's saying, look, I've been training, 10 years training. I go 4 times, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to eat healthy. I have one cheat meal or whatever the case is. What would you say to them? I mean, because there are lots of people that are training, but they haven't reached the ideal body goal.
Yes.
What would you say to that person?
So I have I have mentors who have been training 20 plus years, who look amazing, and if someone in the public eye could just look at them, they'd be like, this guy doesn't need to change anything. But in their eyes, they're like, they need to change something. I'd say that person should get a coach. 10 years plus training, you're not seeing any more results. Get someone more experienced than you to talk to you, mentor you, coach you deeper into nutrition, because we can lie to ourselves. We can say, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm only having one cheat meal, but is it really the case? So a coach will just be able to watch that person more, like, closer, just to see if they're really doing what they say they're doing, because 10 years plus training, everything matters at that point. If you want to take it to the next level, you have to really, really focus in, like, to the T.
And let's talk about that, the next level, because I think a lot of people don't realize that there's so much components to building an ultimate body, right? And I mean, at 22, you've been able to work quite hard on your body.
I appreciate that.
How many years have you been training?
So all throughout high school. So
maybe when you started gym per se.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say seriously, grade 7. So I was about 13 years old.
Okay.
It was a group of us, man. We were actually training during break.
Sure.
That's how much I love fitness. Anyway, it progressed through high school. I don't think I really started seeing proper results until about grade 10. So I was about 16 years old. That's when people were like, okay, wow, what advice do you have for us? But I didn't feel like I was in the right place to give advice yet. So until I turned 17, that's when I started coaching, because I was digging serious. I was digging deeper into nutrition, training, learning from the grades, reading. So that's when it started, man. It started at 13 until now. So I'll say about 8 years.
Okay.
8 years, maybe, or 8 years of serious
training.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, who are some of the greats? I mean, you mentioned that you've been learning from some of the greats. Who are some of your fitness inspirations?
Of course, I could tell you a few. So from a young age, Arnold, I think any young lifter would tell you Arnold was up there with regards to their growth as a person. And then that was the training side of things. But then the whole, the mental, the financial, like the whole lot together with regards to fitness, I'd give it to, I don't know if you've ever heard of Junior Koza.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, I had a chat with him. I was inspired by him from a young age, right? Because Arnold was just training. Junior kind of spoke to us about financial. He spoke to us about the training aspect, spoke to us about knowledge. You know, you don't just want to be that guy that can just lift. So yeah, those to me are real inspirations. I could run through a few more if you like, man.
No. I mean, that's profound. I mean, what you've said that you don't just want to be that guy that lifts, because I think public perception is once you look good or you look like you can lift, they're like, oh, that's all, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, how do you make sure that you're not that guy?
I mean, continuous learning, man. You don't just want to be one dimensional, because even with personal training, we have like a variety of clients that don't just want to hear about lifting. You know, they talk about business, they talk about a variety of things. So you do want to kind of be well versed, because if you're seeing someone 5 days a week, that's about 20 hours a month. You can't just talk about training. You know, you can't just talk about training.
So it's a relationship you build with your client. You talk them through.
100%. That for me is where the 450 comes from, or the 500, or some trainers that are charging 1,000 rand an hour. It comes with relationships, because people can get training online. You could go to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and search up a training program, and you'd most probably find something. But for me, how I'm able to keep my clients is through relationships. You know, it's not just them coming in there, getting their workout done and leaving. Like, we actually talk. I find out what's wrong. Why are you not seeing results? Is it because something's happening outside? Why can't you follow the meal plan? Why are you not able to come to your sessions? Like, I understand them. I really understand them. I see them more than I see anybody else. Right? For the most part, I see them more than I see anyone else. So the relationship is so strong, man. And I feel like I've built myself into a place now where my relationship with my clients is so strong. That's what kept me in fitness, man.
Sure.
That's what kept me in fitness.
I like that. I mean, at 22 years old, you're training people that are much older, but you're able to relate and have the conversations and engage with them. I think that's so profound. Walk us through your own routine. So what's your training routine? What does that look like?
Okay, so my training routine is pretty much 6 days a week.
Okay.
I do a split called push-pull legs.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much, you do your push on Monday, so you do chest, triceps, right? Shoulders on Monday.
Okay.
Tuesday, you do back and biceps.
Okay. So the push is Monday.
Yes.
And then back and biceps is what? Pull.
Pull, yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Wednesday, legs.
Cool.
Right? Thursday, I typically have a really, really busy day, so I'll take a rest day, and then I train Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then back in it on Monday.
And how long do you? What's that like? Are you one of those guys that hypes yourself up with music, and then you take your pre-workout, and then you visualize, and what does it bring us into your routine?
So in the gym, man, I'm in love with the process, the whole lot, man. It's not even just about the training session. It's the me picking the outfit to train in.
Wow.
Like, yeah, man, deciding what video I'm gonna drop today.
Okay.
I try to record all my workouts.
Oh, I see.
Yes, okay. I try trying to decide what I'm gonna record, what I'm gonna write in the caption. So that's my whole training process. Taking the pre-workout, then it's the training after that, man. So if people can just figure out their process before the gym and then train, I think they'll enjoy it a lot more. It's not just the training. So in my opinion, man, if people can just fall in love with the process of going to the gym, or plan their process of going to the gym, they'll enjoy it a lot more. Because for me, that whole thing of getting ready, getting the video ready, thinking of the angles I'm gonna record the video at, actually training becomes so much easier, man. I already visualized it. I'm always visualizing my training. Sometimes I'd watch videos, right, of the greats, like I told you earlier in the podcast, actually training the muscle I'm training on that day, and it makes it that much easier, man. Well, that's my process. That's typically my process.
Cool. I like that. And how do you get over? So when you're at the gym, a lot of people say that the moment they enter the gym, at least the momentum is starting. But a lot of people say they can't even get themselves there. You know, many people say they can't wake up. They can't. How do you keep yourself consistent to that 6 days?
All right, so like we said prior in the podcast, that it starts mentally. So people negotiate with everything they're not supposed to negotiate with. It's non-negotiable. We just need to get it done, right? So if people could just get the plan in place, once the plan is in place, just get it done. All right. So for me, sticking to the 6 days is not so hard, because I learned to love it. I learned to love the process. It took long. There's ample days that I don't want to be in the gym, that I don't want to train, but It's an accountability thing. I'd say they could try get an accountability partner, a training partner, or a trainer that could help them stick to their 6 days. And it doesn't have to be 6 for the person just trying to be in shape, be healthy for their family, etc. They don't need 6. If they can commit to like a 3 to 4 day split, that's good enough, man. I feel like people overcommit. That's why they stop at the gym. They say they're gonna quit all of these things off the jump, just cold turkey. I think people ease into it. If you're starting with 0 days, if you're not training at the moment, start with 2, right? If you're already doing 2 and you're on an up it, go to 3. All right, don't go straight from 0 to 6. You know, it took anyone who was in fitness a long time to get to a 6-day split or a 5-day split, because you have to commit to it. You know, so if people could just take their time with it, ease into it. Don't jump straight to the 6 days.
That makes absolute sense. So we've sort of understood your client base, how you go about preparing your day. What are some of the challenges that you've sort of encountered in the industry that you're in? And I mean, for many people looking inside out, what are some of those challenges?
Well, look, it looks, I mean, for me, it looked extremely glamorous from the outside. But I mean, it's a really nice industry to be in. I completely love it. But the challenges is time. At the end of the day, you are selling time. You're selling knowledge, expertise, etc. But it comes down to time, right? You only have a certain amount of hours in the day. If you want to fit everyone in, you can't. You couldn't, right? Without burning out or without giving someone less quality than the other. So for me, that's the biggest challenge, is actually finding the time in the day to do everything you need to do. You know, take care of your clients equally as best as you can, and still live a normal life. You know, so for me, that was the biggest challenge. And the sacrifices, man. You know, I had to sacrifice a lot of things. You know, I would typically go out on a Friday and a Saturday, but now I know I have a client at 6 a.m. Saturday morning. You know, so that was a big challenge for me, was changing my entire lifestyle. You know, not doing the things that the people around me were doing. I have friends who still do it, and I had to let it go. I had to let it go for the sake of me trying to be the best I can be at my craft, man.
That makes sense. There's lots of rumors about the personal training industry where people say, you know, housewives come through and, you know, while the husband is at work and he's being CEO, the housewife is stretching and doing all sorts of things, the house calls. Have you ever experienced that? Tell us about it.
I mean, it happens, eh? It really happens. I just think as a trainer, it's how you handle it.
Okay.
It's there.
Okay.
It's definitely there. I mean, you could be in a space with someone for who knows how long, and you could build a crazy relationship with this person, but it comes down to professionalism, right?
I did think about that actually, because you spend so much time with them.
Yeah, time with this person. Like, some people, I'm telling you, man, you're spending 25 hours a month for a year.
Sure.
Like, you're gonna have a really close relationship.
Yeah, and it's not just, I mean, it's physical, but I mean, it's also emotional.
100%.
Yeah, you're helping them.
You need to understand them as well, you know. But it comes down to professionalism. If that's your goal, you're probably gonna lead with that. But if your goal is to help this person,
lead with that. If your goal is lead with that.
No, I mean, lead like some people get into training for that.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's not a money-making industry.
And tell me. So if you can be professional about it, don't keep it. If it were to happen where someone is, you know, pushing themselves on you, you need to keep it. Just keep yourself extremely professional when it comes to that. But it's around, man. It happens.
Yeah.
It really does.
What are some of the craziest stories that you've ever heard of these things happening?
Me, the craziest ones I've heard. Oh man, where do I start?
Well, that happened to you.
You know, to me.
all the craziest you've heard, yeah.
I mean, okay, when I started as a personal trainer, I mean, I was young, man. I'm still young, right? But I was even younger. So I got a DM from this person, and she was like, nah, she wants a personal trainer. And I was like, all right, cool. Told her the gym I'm at. She's like, okay, let's set up a consult. And she's like, nah, do you do sports massage? And I'm like, no.
Oh, is that the route they take?
Hey,
do you know sports massage?
She's sharing at me, bro. She tried. So she's like, do you do sports massage? I'm like, no. Long story short, she said, okay, I can't come to the gym today, but here's my address. Like, can you go? I was like, I checked my schedule. I'm like, okay, I actually have some time. Cool. Went over there. And I'm like, all right, cool. I have my notepad, bro. Personal personal trainer jacket. Like, I'm professional. I'm like, anyway. She's like, oh yeah, I didn't want to train her. It's like, that was just, and I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, can I offer you coffee? And I'm like, geez, I'm already here. So how I handled it, dude, I'm a man. I'm like, okay, how do I handle this situation?
But did she? What did she do? Did she try anything, or was it just?
I mean, she was casual about it. She was like, okay, I actually did not want to train her.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I just wanted to chat. And I could see the way she was talking, and I was like, okay, closed it off. And I'm like, sorry, this is jeopardizing the brand. Number one, this could go so south because it could get to like legal actions. She could easily say I did something.
Yeah.
So the smartest thing for me to do was leave. But if I hadn't have left that day, anything could have happened. Right. And it was gonna really, really mess up my name at a young age. So it happens. And I'm sure a lot of trainers could tell you the exact same thing.
I'm sure you say that for some of them it's the goal. Like, they go into personal training with the anger.
I mean, I don't think that would be your main goal, but you could fall into it, man.
But I think these things happen in every industry.
All right.
So yeah, in every industry there's always that. Let's talk about mental health, because a lot of people, come through for personal trainers, or for, maybe let me not say personal trainers, I'd rather say gym junkies.
Gotcha.
Right? A lot of people say, a gym junkie is okay. We had a friend in our friend circle, and whenever we had like an outing or something, he'd always arrive like 2 hours late with a shake, and he'd be like, sorry guys, I was at the gym. And they were running jokes. We were saying, but if you're spending so much time, what's going on with you? Are you dealing with trauma, this, that, and the other? What are some of your thoughts around the mental health space and the gym? Is it that people that really go hard at the gym, are there issues there?
I don't think so. A piece of it, yes, but I don't think so, man. I feel like people who are going hard in the gym, if it's a self-improvement thing, the harder I go, the better I feel. If I was to go out, let's say I'm going out tonight, I would train prior. I think after I train hard, I'm the best person I could be for the people around me. When I don't train, I'm simply not that person. And I know a lot of people clown gym people when they're coming from the gym. They're like, oh, you're training because whatever, you're depressed. But then I could say the same thing, like, you drinking because you're depressed.
Yeah.
You could be saying I'm training because I have problems. I could say you smoke that because
you have problems.
Because you have problems.
Okay. But do you think that, because I mean, a lot of people go to gym and, they'll do the bare minimum and they'll leave. But then those guys at the gym that are training, like, they're like, why are these weights? Why is the weights here? Yes. What do you think is behind that? Do you think it's just...
I think it's a focus point. One of the things I learned when I became a trainer, and I spent a lot of time with these people, often gym people think people who don't train are lazy, but that's not true. I mean, I've trained CEOs. You can't tell me a CEO's lazy. His focus is not the gym. He just wants to come in there, train, clear his mind, go back to work. Whereas a gym junkie may have a lot of free time on his hands. He really loves the gym, so he'll spend a lot of time there. So it wouldn't be fair for us to call those people lazy because they fully perform in their field. So those people who train a lot at the gym, I think it's because they love it. I don't think everybody has the desire to build a physique that everybody goes wow to, but some people just want to fit in their clothes better. They want their sleeves to hold their arms. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Small things like that. Not everybody wants a stage body.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that. You mentioned a wow body. That when people look at you, they go wow. Yeah. If you work out at the gym, is it? And I guess it's twofold to say. Do you train so that when people look at your body, they admire it? Do you train so that you're happy with your body? Is it a dual thing? Because a lot of people have this conversation about, but why is it that they go overboard? Is it that they're trying to, what do you have to say about that? Or what are your thoughts about that?
So I think it would be fair to say it's a dual thing.
Okay.
Everybody started with.
So you want attention. You want people to look at you.
That's what it started with. You want that attention. Because I was still in school when I started training. So it was for attention. I don't think I trained to help anybody at the time.
Yeah.
I trained to look good. And when the compliments come in, etc., it kind of fuels the fire. So either you could move with that and train for ego, but that doesn't last too long. And it usually leads to drugs or steroids, etc., because you're doing it for people. You want that wow factor. As you mature in training and you train for a few years, you realize that, okay, it's more for me. because the harder I train, I told you, the better I feel, the better my mental is. And the way my body looks, in my opinion, fully exemplifies like how I'm thinking. Because when I'm looking bad, it's a clear indication that I'm struggling with something mentally. But when I'm looking my best, I'm optimal mentally, you know. So it's both. It's both. Yeah, you're training for the attraction, but 6 days a week, man, attraction is not going to keep you in there 6 days a week, you know. See, attraction is not going to make you eat those meals. Attraction is not going to make you count every calorie. Attraction is not going to make you do your cardio. It's not enough, you know. You need some substance. You need some sort of substance, in my opinion. So yeah, it starts with the attraction, but what keeps you there and what keeps you disciplined, and if you do want to build that wow body, it has to be a little bit deeper.
I mean, you say attraction, and I think that's interesting because there's always that chat, and I always hear it, especially amongst, you know, the elders, where they say, or your uncles or your aunts will be saying, you know, when I met your dad, he was a sportsman, he looked good. Or when I met your mom, she was, now the body's gone, you know.
Exactly.
So you're still young, you're obviously not married, but do you ever think that when that happens, because there's even a word I've heard people say, relationship weight, like when you're happy, you stop training and whatever the case is. Do you think you'd ever get to that point?
I don't think it would ever get to that point.
So you think even once you've found a partner or whatever,
Yeah,
you're still going to look for the wow factor? Who are the people that are seeing the wow factor?
So the wow factor for her, eventually my wife's gonna get used to the body. Like, she's gonna get used to the physique. It's not gonna drive her crazy anymore. But she's gonna know that when I'm looking my best, I will be the best family man I could be. Because once that leaves, once the physique piece leaves and the daily disciplines leave, I'm not gonna be the same person that she met, you know. And a lot of people, when they get married, because they were doing it for that wow factor and the attraction, they let go of the very thing that got them the person. You know, it'll be unfair for us to say that. I know it goes deeper than attraction. That's so true. I know marriage is a lot more than just how you look, but I think it's a very important factor. You know, you don't want to be that guy that they're embarrassed to show a picture of when you married, but like, this was my husband. I feel like your wife should be able to say, this is my husband and this is how he looks. So people shouldn't get relationship weight. You know, I think that's so detrimental. You're going to change who you are completely.
I mean, the point you're driving home, and I think it's quite an interesting point to say, the way you look physically is a manifestation of
100%.
of how your mind is functioning. So what are you saying, people that sort of lose it and gain weight and just eat whatever they want, that something's wrong there mentally?
Yeah,
They're not at their best.
100%. Something must have went wrong. I heard you say one thing on your Instagram where you spoke about when you plant a seed, it goes straight into the physical manifestation. So when that guy met that woman, he was at a certain place physically and mentally, because they go hand in hand. And then they got together, something happened in that process, right? Whether it be work, kids, stress, whatever it may be, but he's completely let himself go, right? It's not fair for him to try keep her there and try say that she needs to stay for love, because she was there for the love, the attraction, etc. You can't just take the one piece away and be like, hey, my body doesn't matter anymore. You know, there's ample people who can't even play with their kids anymore because their physical has just completely declined, right? I don't know if you've ever seen, like, with our grandparents, their backs are done, their knees are done in, and it was because of a lack of knowledge back then. Now we don't have an excuse. Things like this, like podcasts like these, are available everywhere. You know, it's not fair for people to say they didn't know, because now we know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
everything.
true. That's very true. Let's talk about some of the success stories of your clients, or some of the things that you've been able to do in terms of being a personal trainer. Any memorable success stories?
100%. I think before I even got into the professional piece of personal training, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, my first client was back home when I was in matric. That was my first transformation. He went from, if I'm not mistaken, he dropped about 15, 20 kilos. And he's in the medical field, right? Like, he's in the medical field. He's a high performer. And for me to be able to gain respect from a guy like that, I never ever thought I'd be in the same room, sitting, talking as a friend with someone like that. And that was a success story for me. So for him to sit down and tell me that I changed his life through something that I love, that for me was enough to get me into working personal training full time. And then within the gym, there's a man I met. He came to me. He'd never been in the gym a day in his life. I think I'll show you a picture after this. He'd never been in the gym a day in his life. And I told him, just relax, like, we'll start off slow. And long story short, man, you should see him now, dude.
Oh.
You should see him now, and the way he acts is completely different. Habits are changed. His wife sent me a message, right? Without him knowing, we spoke about we spoke about his wife sent me a message, and she's like, you know what? Thank you so much.
Oh.
She's like, thank you so much. Like, I've been trying to get him into gym for this amount of time, and now that he's changed his body, completely different person. So that's a success story for me, man. Like,
Wow, that's amazing stuff. Let's talk about online, because I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, you've got the physical personal trainers, and then there's also the online world. Do you think, or do you see personal training working online? What are your thoughts there?
yes, 100%. So I keep clients online as well. Look, there's some people who don't need someone there with them to train. Like you said, like someone 5 years plus into training, they've already done it for a certain period of time. So they don't really need a physical trainer there with them. All they need is guidance on programming, nutrition, so they can look at it via an app, right? So I train my clients via an app, whereas there's that person who can't train online. They need that person there. They need that accountability. So online is the future due to time, and you're not selling time there. You're actually selling the results itself. You know, they're not paying you per hour. They're paying you for the actual results and the program.
Oh, interesting. And I mean, the connection, is it still there? Are they connections that you still form there, or is it?
So look, 100%. I tend to meet my online clients in person first.
Okay.
If they're around. If not, we just do it via Zoom. But you need to keep that connection, man. That person needs to know that you're not just a computer. You're not just a person behind this Instagram. So you actually have to build a personal relationship with them.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this cardio conversation, I mean, when I started training, I never used to do cardio, because a lot of people used to say, don't do cardio, you know, just go straight into weights. But the older I've gotten, I've met people that said, no, you do need to do cardio.
Yeah.
What do you say about that? Do you do cardio?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do cardio. So people just viewed cardio the wrong way. People think I need to be on the treadmill to lose weight. They think that building muscle downstairs is just lifting, and then upstairs when they're doing their cardio, that's when they lose fat. So cardio doesn't like burn the fat itself. It helps you burn more calories in a day. It's good for your heart, but it's not fat burning. Fat burning comes from the nutrition piece. So cardio is good for your health. Yes, you need it. It helps you lose weight, but it's not the determining factor. All right. So cardio needs to be there for your overall health. Like, for instance, I play soccer as well, so I need the cardio. But for the typical person, you don't want to not do cardio. You know, you don't want to be like those guys who lift weights, but up the stairs they're sweating. You know, you need the all round. You need to be all round.
I like that, all round. In terms of gym, let's talk about, I mean, a lot of people say that sometimes people go overboard to try and get their physical bodies in a certain way, and people use steroids, and I know there's pills, there's injectables, there's supplements firstly, and the whole side of that. Let's maybe start here. Let's start with supplements,
Yes.
right? Regulated supplements. What are your thoughts on supplements? Do they work? What do you use?
Yes. So we'll get into exactly what I use right now. But supplements, yes, they do work. Do you need them to make results? Not precisely, but like same thing I'd always ask. Do you need running shoes to run? You don't typically need running shoes to run, but it generally helps, right? So same thing with a supplement. You know, supplements are just there to help you, right? So it's there to help you. So for me, I take a pre-workout prior to training. That's just for energy.
What do you take?
Primal.
Okay.
I take Primal Nutrition.
Okay.
Right? It's amazing. I think you should try it, bro.
Cool. I'll definitely give it a look. Yeah.
So I take that pre-workout, creatine monohydrate specifically, once a day, every day. Even on rest days, I typically take it.
I've heard of that, the mono and the normal one.
Yes.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Take monohydrate. So there's other ones like the hydro one. That's just more research, but the most researched supplement on this earth is creatine.
Okay.
So I'd suggest people rather go for the monohydrate option because that's the most researched, right? We don't need to venture into the others. They work. They do work, but in my opinion, especially if you're just starting, stick to the monohydrate one. I take glutamine as well for recovery. It assists me with the recovery, and then while I'm training, I'll just sip on amino acids.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all I take.
Protein?
Oh yeah, protein. I forgot. Yeah, whey protein. Yes.
Okay.
Forgot about whey. Yes, whey isolate to be specific.
Okay.
All right. The isolate just feels better for me. It doesn't affect my skin. I just feel a whole lot better when I take whey isolate.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. And then let's move to, so people that are saying, cool, I see the protein, I see the stuff that's available. We want to do a bit more. What's the next level before illegal?
The next level before illegal. I wouldn't say anyone should look for anything just before illegal, because then it's probably illegal. You know, it's
Like, I mean, the something animal stack and these sort of,
yes,
whatever.
Like, oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
So there are stuff called pro hormones, right? So it's not you taking testosterone per se, but it's basically you taking something that's giving your body the actual building blocks it needs to build to make actual testosterone, right? So I don't get my clients on any of those stuff because it requires PCT. So PCT is post-cycle therapy. That's stuff people get on after steroids. So even though it's not illegal, even though pro hormones are not illegal, my thing is, why do people still need to get on a post-cycle therapy for it? So I wouldn't say go to any of those. I'd say stick to over-the-counter unless you're an athlete going to stage. If you're an athlete who needs his body to make money on stage and your competitors are on drugs as well, that's the only.
Do you do the stage stuff?
Not at all, man.
Okay.
Not
all right.
Not maybe
So,
in future.
maybe in future, but you've just said that everybody who does stages is on drugs. Is that the case?
Well, not everybody. I mean, there's natural shows where there's like smaller guys, but for the most part, the bigger, more heavier guys, 100%, man.
And in terms of these steroids, I mean, what are they taking? Because the way that I understand it, they're taking stuff that should be given to medicine that should be given to people that have a lack of it in their body.
Yeah, 100%. So like they're using it to supplement their training. Like for instance, to gain weight during off season, they'll be using there's not one steroid, right? There's steroids that people would use prior to a show, like 3 weeks before a show, 4 weeks before a show. There's a different cycle that they'd be on 2 months before the show. You know, there's different ones that they'd use for fat loss, different ones that people would use to gain more weight. So there's a variety, man. It's huge. The steroid industry is massive.
And I mean, what have you ever been through those encounters within the industry? Have you ever like had somebody approach you about it? Have you ever used? What are your thoughts there?
All right, so 100%. I think anyone who trains has been approached by someone about steroids. Luckily, mentors prior, while I was younger, spoke to me and they're like, okay, man, your physique is decent enough. Don't get into the drug. Don't get into the... So I had a long conversation about that. And luckily, I did not touch any of those. And I don't think I will anytime soon. Because a young lifter, anyone young, shouldn't be touching something like testosterone. You know, it's going to give you so many complications in the future. So no, man, I don't think... I have had many encounters with it, being offered it, saying that, your body could look so much better if you take it. But no, man.
I like that. In terms of, I mean, looking at, being young and the culture of being young, how does the future look like in the personal industry for you? Personal training industry.
All right. So for me, the future for me is I want to eventually build my business big enough so that I could step out of Virgin Active, right? I want my coaching business to be big enough that I could drop a course teaching young people how to build a multi-million rand coaching business. That's how I see myself in the future.
Nice.
Teaching people how to start it off and how to scale it into something huge, and then eventually step out of the gym space, because it is a hefty one. There's a big fee that trainers pay.
Yeah, and I mean, in the UK, a lot of trainers have come up to fight gyms to say they're charging too much. Are you allowed to share how much trainers pay or the range that they pay?
Look, on average, now that I've started, I've only been there a few years, you'd pay about 11K a month.
11,000 to do what?
It's a flat rate. It's just to use the facilities. That's it.
11,000 to be a personal trainer inside the gym.
Inside the gym. Yeah.
Yo, that is quite high.
It is quite high, especially
each trainer pays that 11,000.
100%. 100%.
And the next level of that is obviously you'd have to get your own gym to train there.
Yes. All the online space.
Okay.
So people most people who've left the personal training space in person would always go to online because they have their client base and they can manage it that way. But yeah, it's a hectic price, especially when you're just starting. When you're just starting, it's a bit hectic. But I feel like gyms need to rethink that.
Yeah.
I think gyms need to rethink that because it's killing the whole personal training culture. I think they could find a way to somehow maneuver around it. It's chasing a lot of people out of a beautiful career. I think it's a very fulfilling career. besides that whole price, if we took that whole price thing out of it, I think it's a very beautiful, fulfilling career. You know, you work really, really long hours, but you don't even feel it most of the time. Like, people are like, how do you do a 12-hour day with no rest? And I'm like, dude, I didn't even feel it.
Wow.
You know, I'm learning from these people so much. They learning from me.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I wake up and I'm like, what's this guy gonna tell me today?
Wow.
What am I gonna teach him today? So it's beautiful.
Wow, I like that. Let's talk about nutrition, because I mean, we sort of spoke about it in the beginning, but we didn't delve into it. What should people be eating? And maybe also let us know what you're eating.
All right, so I think an easy gauge would be to eat real food. I think people need to just eat real food, because for the most part we don't. Like the typical, so when I ask my clients, I have like a list where I'd ask them for them to tell me what they eat in a day. So I kind of drew up like an average. So people are eating, the only real food they're eating is at night, and that's not enough. So they'd wake up in the morning, some would have a croissant or toast, right? And then that's it. Or some won't even eat breakfast at all. Time will go by, probably like 2 p.m. People will have like a sandwich with like cheese or whatever. And then at supper, then they'll only have like real protein. But that's not enough real food. There's too much processed food for the most part of the day. Then at the end of the day, they're only having something worthwhile. So I'd say people should fix their breakfast first, fix their lunch, because the supper for the most part is there. People need to eat whole foods. If you don't know where it started, don't eat it. Or if you don't know,
if it's coming out of a packet,
started, don't eat it.
Yeah. And right now, how's your eating routine?
Oh man, I try control it as best I can. So I'll keep it like 100 grams of rice, 150 grams of chicken. That'll be a meal for me, right? That's a meal. Or I'd do 150 grams of mince, 100 grams of rice. That would be a meal for me. You know, so that's how I consume. I count calories. So I try keep 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. All right. So for me, that's very sustainable. I'm able to keep that.
Take us through that. Like, for somebody who doesn't understand that what you just said.
All right.
I don't know what that is.
All right.
1.5 grams of protein for every kilogram in your body.
So another way to say it is a gram per pound of body weight. Okay. So if you could just change your body weight from kilograms to pounds, you'd eat a gram of protein per pound. Okay, so your protein is pretty much broken down into grams. Okay, so everything you eat, like for instance, let's say an egg is 10 grams of protein. If you weigh 150 pounds, you'd need to eat 150 grams of protein in a day. All right, so that's where protein shakes come in, is to supplement that. The average person does not eat enough protein to build muscle. So I'd say a protein shake comes in to supplement that, right? So all your protein's broken down into grams. Okay, so everything you eat is broken down. Your body counts it all. Okay, so that's where calorie counting comes in. Calorie counting is to make sure that all the numbers are in check. Okay, because even if we don't count it, our body's definitely counting it. All right, so that's what I mean by it. So every gram counts. So if people could just keep a gram of protein per pound of body weight, then they should be fine, man. I think that's a great formula to build muscle. Of course, women is a little bit less, but for the most part, a gram per pound is amazing. That's how I try and measure my protein throughout the day. Then the carbs and fats just fall into play. All right, the carbs and fats just fall into play, especially if you're eating healthy. You don't want to keep them way too high, and you also don't want to keep them extremely low. All right, so yeah, man, and I feel like a lot of the diets they give men these days are extremely low in fats and extremely low in carbs. That's why people can't keep it up. You know, so I try keep them, I try keep them at a mid-level, but my protein stays standard. Whether I'm trying to lose weight, gain weight, it pretty much stays the same.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And in terms of like your cheat meal, do you have cheat meals?
Yes. Oh, no.
How do you do it? Is it a cheat day or is it a cheat meal?
Keep it at a day.
Okay.
So I'll be so disciplined let's say Monday to Friday. Like there's no slip ups. I try not to slip up. There'll be that 1 or 2 times where you do slip up. I think I've worked to a point now where it's just tiny little slip ups. Then on the weekend, typically it's more social. All right, so there will be things that's not supposed to be there. All right, I try to keep them to a limit, but I do have a cheat day.
And what's your cheat meal? What's the thing that you like while you?
Where do I start? Probably like 15 wings.
From where?
Rocco Mamas, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably like 15 wings. I have that double smash burger with the chili cheese fries, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the cheat.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a proper cheat meal.
Nice. And in terms of, I mean, a lot of people say that, I go to gym and I train, but the alcohol becomes the issue or like that thing. What are your thoughts there? Do you drink as a personal trainer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. It wouldn't be fair for me to say I don't drink, but I think people can control a lot more, like what goes into the drink rather than the drink, because some people actually don't drink that much, but what they drink's the problem. If you take two people, one person is only having, let's say, 2 double whiskeys, whereas someone is having 2 massive sugary cocktails. Both are alcohol, but the cocktail side's messing up because there's a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need in there. Whereas this guy's enjoying his alcohol, but it's still lower in calories, So I feel like people can enjoy their alcohol a little bit more. It doesn't mean drink every day. If it's a social event where you're going to drink, try control factors like that. Like what sort of sugars are you putting into the drink? Are you having sugar-free? So those things are important when it comes to alcohol.
Cool. I mean, looking at the age you're at 22, there's a lot of young people out there that haven't figured out life, that just coming out of university or not sure where to go. Because you're very clear about what you're doing and what you want to achieve. What's the factors that you think have brought you to this point?
I think speaking to the right people, speaking to people way ahead of you, not just in your industry only, asking questions. I think there's certain rooms where you don't need to speak. You just need to listen and ask, because there's nothing you can teach some people. I think so. The more influence you have around you, because I had all of my friends were older than me. All of my friends were way, way older than me and way ahead of me in their careers. And speaking to them gave me clarity. You can't speak to someone on the same level as you and expect them to give you any sort of clarity. It's not going to happen. So my prime focus was speaking to people way ahead of me, asking that guy like, yo, when did you get that watch? And now I'll get a whole story where he went to buy he bought this watch in Monaco, etc. And I'd ask him what he does. And then, you learn from that and you're like, oh, okay, he's in that field. And that kind of pushed me to go further with my journey.
Cool. I like that. I mean, I wish you well in your journey. You're doing very well. And I'm sure that there's a lot more that you're going to be doing out throughout life. We usually end the episode by asking, what do you want to be remembered for? And I mean, you're 22, so I don't know if you have those thoughts.
I think off the top of my head, changing lives, positively changing lives through my field. I wanna have thousands of people remember me for changing their lives through fitness like I did my own. That doesn't mean they need to come into the fitness industry, but just through fitness alone, I wish there were thousands of people who could actually remember me for changing their lives one way or the other. That's what kept me here. So I hope in the future I could scale that higher. And now I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day sit here with my podcast.
No, definitely.
Interview you.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you. It's been a really impactful podcast, and we've learned a lot about fitness, how to handle our body, how it affects our mind, nutrition. So thank you for delivering value, and thanks, guys, for watching a For This Reason podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Thank you.
Legend.